Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
This is the first podcast we're recording of the new year. So I know that this isn't like
the first
early
one to drop. Yeah.
New Year for you listening, but it is for us. We're back together finally. We took some time.
We're going
off
to drop this mid-January, so it's not like that out of date.
True. Oh my God, I can't believe next week's mid-January.
I know.
But I can, because I'm ready to get to June 2025 when BTS is getting out of the military. And that is basically going to be my entire personality to survive the next 5 months. And I have a bone to pick with both of you.
Go for it.
So before I left, I missed my flight. Or I guess like the day I left my flight. Yeah. And then
not before. I mean,
whatever. The day on the December 18th in the way back, I missed my flight.
And let's be real, it wasn't even close.
Like, why did you miss your flight?
By the time I showed up at the airport, the plane was somewhere. It was probably 2.5 to 3 hours in air. Like I didn't just miss it. I full missed it.
Yeah.
Like gone. And so you
read your arrival as departure, right?
I did. And then because I was checking bags, I decided I wasn't going to advance check-in because then I still had to go do the check-in. So I was like, I don't need to do more labor in my life. I'm just not checking in. Anyway, I gave you permission to roast me. Roast me, you did.
We went hard. I know.
However, I have some wags of the finger. And so
that's fine.
Wags of the finger is the universe teaching me nothing? And I'm going to posit that why do we have who wants the bad sky daddy up here? Like what kind of bad like maybe the universe has taught me something. I feel like the universe taught me a lot. The universe taught me for an object in motion stays in motion. And so the universe is rewarding me, honestly, because it's like, look, you were en route. You missed your flight. You were scrappy. And not only did you have your ticket booked to the next airport to get out, you caught the rest of Jungkook's live. The universe is like, look, you're an idiot, but like, you're still going, you're still moving. You're still like, you are a river. Like you hit a little like a beaver dam and you just busted through it. And the universe, I think to me is like, okay. I mean, like, I feel like the universe is like, let's give you some tests. And can I rise to the challenge? Yes, I can rise to the challenge. And so I was also like, are these bitches cursing me? Because, I was like, now is the universe going to be like, fuck, did I need to teach a lesson? Am I being too benevolent? I would say Jared did not feel like the universe was blessing us that day.
I'm sure he didn't.
And then Jared and I I've realized that my son and I, so he doesn't believe in astrology, but he's a Scorpio and he really is a Scorpio. Like, even if he doesn't believe it, I believe it for him. So he's a moody little creature. I get along with him well and I can travel with him well, but boy, he can go hard, then he really needs a moment. And I tend to be kind of a hermit, but once I'm going, like I can go. Like I don't need to stop and have my moment. So we kind of had like a mismatch of like energy sometimes, but I can like, roll. I was also on edit job, like flying out. So like when we were in Hawaii, he'd need a moment. I'm like, great, I'm still editing this fucking book. So I'm going to edit it while you take your moment. But on the way home, he and I overlap in that he doesn't read the itinerary either. And so he gets in his head what he thinks the trip home is going to look like. Like he got in his head what he believed was going to happen. He made plans. He had like friend stuff arranged. And then he told me what he thought his plans were. And I had to laugh in his face because I was like, look, you think we're just getting on an airplane and flying home? Oh, no. We're getting on an airplane and flying an hour to another airport, which is Sydney. Then we have to not only disembark at Sydney, we have to switch whole ass airports because Sydney Airport has a domestic airport and an international airport. So we have to get on a fucking train, like a city train, and go to another airport.
Oh my God.
I did not know this.
It's only a stop, but I mean, it is, given that we almost missed our flight because of delays, it was a hairy connection.
Right.
And then when we got there, the flight was delayed. So I was like, no worries, we're not going to miss our flight. And so I was like, I'm going to go duty free and look at makeup because that's what I like to do on my break. And he's like,
me too.
You need to be at the gate. Like, we need to go to the gate. I need to see that the gate exists. I was thinking of you two, and I was like,
That is
yeah,
the first thing I do when I get to the airport is
Me
I go
too.
straight
Always
to the
look-
gate
always
and make
look-
sure it
I was like,
exists.
the gate exists. I was like, I was like, Tara, the gate.
No, I need
Nope.
to see on the
Nope.
screen that
Yeah,
it
so
says
I'm
it's
with-
my flight there.
Yeah, so I'm with this little freaking princess who's like, I gotta go through the gate. And I'm like, I'm gonna at least spray some perfume. So we start going, we walk down, and then I'm like, look, okay, there's the gate. And then I'm like, I think we just walk around for a little bit. I'm like, and he's like, well, we're supposed to board in like 20 minutes. I'm like, look, when it says go to gate, that's the sign to go to gate. And
Oh
he's
my
like,
God, Leah.
when it
Stop.
says go to gate, that's too late. And I was like,
It
I
is.
was like, who have I raised? Who are you? What is this? What are we doing together? So he throws a fit. He's like, I refuse to let you go. I was like, what? So I do. I play ball with him. I don't walk around. I sit there. And then when they're like, it's time to get in line, he's like, let's get in line. I'm like, but why? I'm like, the plane is boarding. Just sit, chill out, watch a movie. The plane will fill. We have a seat. This is not Southwest. We'll just go to our seat at that time. Like, what are we doing? Why are we going to stand in this like bullpen to like rush the plane? He's like, get in the line, get in line. I was like, oh my God. So I feel like I've been punished by like traveling with you two, apparently. So I was like, okay, I guess I don't get to just sit and chill in the lobby. I have to like get in this line. So we get on the line. We do the whole flight to Honolulu. We get out at Honolulu at 6 a.m. And then we don't fly out of Honolulu until like almost 6 o'clock at night because we had a layover.
Oh, wow.
So again, I was like, the universe can punish you. The universe wants you to make your own breaks. So I was like, I'm just booking a hotel. We're just going to stay at a hotel and we are going to chill at this hotel and we are going to take showers and live our lives.
Mhm.
So we do that. And then he starts to be like, when do we got to go back? When do we got to go back? How do we get back? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God. So I feel like my curse and what I'm holding you both accountable to is that I feel like I got punished by realizing that my son is an anxious traveler. And so I did punish him at one point. And this was a mean trick and I don't regret it, which was when we were waiting for the plane to take off in Honolulu to go back to San Francisco. And he went to make a phone call to like a buddy. And I was like, you know what? I've dealt with his moods all day. I've like dealt with his nervousness, like, you know, whatever. And so I texted him and I was like, where are you? And he was like, what? Because he like walked away. And we had like, at that point, like 3 hours before our plane left. And I was like, well, the plane just left, bro.
You're terrible.
You are mean.
You walked away from the gate and they just decided to call it and they've just decided to go.
So you know he has anxiety and you just
so mean.
bullied him.
I know, but I've been awake for like 30 hours and I was just like, meh. So he's like, hang on, bro, hang on. Because he calls me bro, obviously. He's like, hang on, bro, I'm coming. And so I see him. I go,
Poor Jera.
Poor
Jera. And he's like, he's like, the plane just left. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess they just decided they were good to go. And so, you know, I know they said 3 hours, but then like they were like, let's go. And then you decided like you didn't need to be at the gate anymore, apparently, because we just don't need to be at the gate. And so you left. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm kidding. And he was just like,
Was he so mad at you?
I'd say disgusted, less mad and more disgusted, more disgust. Just like
If
I thought it was funny.
If you did that to me, I would shit in your carry-on. I'm serious, Leah.
I would not have talked to you the entire flight.
You would have been getting the silent treatment. I actually really love that your karma was then traveling with basically
With somebody who's super anxious.
basically Amy and me. You
And
traveled with Amy and me.
And then the other things that were wild to me, he's just like, look, because he gets to go to Japan. He gets to go to Japan in April. This kid's like well traveled. He gets to go to Japan in April, and then he's like, after that, I think I just don't want to travel for like maybe 2 years. I was like, who are you? Who raised you?
I know, right?
I'm like,
So
you're like a mega child now. It's like, you know, the universe is like, I just like to stay home.
He's like, I just want to hang in the Gulf of America. Can I do that?
This is the Gulf of America. And he's like, I think in the future, I just want my trips to be like a week. I was like, what? Who? This doesn't.
He likes home.
He likes
Oh my
home.
God.
He's
Your
like, I
son
want
is
to be home
me.
with the dog and the cat. I was like, is
Look.
Megan in the room with me?
Yeah,
right
like that's me. It's me. That is
Look,
me.
Here's what I want to say to this. I would be anxious if I traveled with you, but I'm not an anxious traveler. You want to know why? When I get that text 24 hours ahead that, hey, you can check in for your flight, guess what
I check in.
do? I check the fuck in. I checked my bags. Because you know what? If you check your bags ahead of time, when you get to the airport, you just toss it at the counter and go. That's it, man.
So look, I learned some. I did decide that I was being too chill. And so I think this was a karmic lesson that like in the future, like I don't want to miss like my flight to Korea, let's say in June. So I do think this like taught me some value. Like, don't be too chill. Don't be.
I respect that.
And so I felt like that. Like I felt very much like,
I feel zero guilt about giving you the curse of anxious Jera. Like zero guilt about that.
I actually really love that. I'm glad our curse didn't like cause anyone harm. Our curse was just
we put out into the universe that Leah needs to learn her lesson, and I think she got karma. Yeah,
I'm really proud of Jera.
It was when I was like, go to gate means we go to gate. And he was like, what are you saying? And I
do not mill about the airport until it's time to go to the gate.
It was so funny. And
I find a seat and I chill.
And then the last thing, and this is where I have a segue, and I'm sorry, I am making this all about me, but I just got back and I had funny travel stuff. But I told you guys this story earlier today, so I just want to tell it to the pub just because I don't know. I mean, I also have like slept 4 hours and probably 50, so I'm kind of tired and cranky.
Oh my God.
So when we flew back, my son and I flew back in one lump sum, and then my husband and the girls flew back in another lump sum because they actually stayed in Australia for like 6 weeks. So they flew back today. And they flew back through New Zealand. And so I talked to them last night, like they called me at like 10 o'clock at night or something. And my middle child, who's a teenager, is like, Mom, I was sitting at the gate because they were waiting. And she was like, I was on TikTok and on my For You page, your book came up. She's like, there's like a viral post going around your book. And I was like, is it like Haiti? Because like people fucking love to hate on Puck and Prejudice. Like it's like their part-time job. And she's like, yeah, she's like, it's Haiti. It's Haiti. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for you, Mom. I was like, baby. And it wasn't somebody who'd like read my book. It wasn't even like a mean, it wasn't like somebody had read it. But like, man, you get those too. Or something.
Yeah, we know.
But this isn't like, this wasn't even that. It was just somebody who's like, oh my God, this title, like what's happening to literature? And I was like, literally like, I've told you guys this and I genuinely mean it. Like those posts just make me stronger. Like, it's like I like suck them up and I feel better about the world. I'm just like, your hate just gives me power. And so anyway, I was just trying to tell her that, but like to like a 13-year-old without looking psychotic about it. Like I was trying to be a parent. I'm like, it's fine. Just like, people sometimes just like take it seriously and it's fine. And she was just like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel bad. And she's like, I made a comment. And I was like, oh. And I was starting to be like, shit, man. Like, I don't want to like turn into like an internet. Like, like that's the cardinal rule for me is like, you see the hate, but you move on from the hate. I don't like get into the hate. But I was like, okay, my 13-year-old child's gotten involved. So then I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, tell me the creator's name so I can look it up, baby. So I was like, what did you do? So she like sends it to me. So I look it up. There's like 1,800 comments. And I'm like, motherfucker, I've got to like see what she did. But I also don't want to read 1,800. Like, it's not going to bother me, but I also like don't want to read 1,800 comments. So I start going through it and it's kind of like the predictable. And so one thing I will say is that there is a trend of Jane Austen didn't die for this and talking about my book. And I don't know whoever came up with it originally, because I saw it like 6 months ago. I was like, that's funny. But now I'm like, is it funny if like everyone just says it? Because then it just feels kind of boring and like, so it's kind of.
But it's also like my comment was Jane Austen didn't die for anything. She got sick and died.
I know. I was like, she died of Addison's disease is my favorite comeback, which I don't share. So anyway, I'm like flipping through trying to be like, and I'm like, look, I'm going to give it like 2 minutes. And if I don't find Bronte's comment in 2 minutes, like I'm out. And so there were some nice comments, mostly just kind of like, people can't believe like how far literature has fallen. And I was like, you're welcome, click, click, click. So then I see somebody who was like, I see a comment. I was just like dumb luck seeing it. Somebody was like, who even wrote this? And then I just see Bronte's like name and it says, my mom. And I was like, and I was like, okay. At least like
that. I love it so much.
Like, first I was like, please don't cause a controversy. I'm like,
no, that's the best comment ever.
But then the best part, I was like, anyone who sees it probably just thinks this is like a random gremlin who's like, my mom wrote it. And I'm like, no, her mom really did write it. And then the bummer is like, that would be funny to talk about online, but you can't talk about it online because then like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So
I know.
What I got on the podcast because I had to tell someone because that was a funny story. It's legitimately funny. But then I was just like, like because I would love to engage and I just know that that's probably a path to madness. So not to. But that is my segue is that so I don't like to hate on things. Like that is not my favorite thing. I don't like to like hate on content just to hate on content. if I'd written something that like really had like caused someone harm, I would feel very bad. But if somebody's just like, I hate the title of this book and what's the world coming to, then I'm just like, unclench, live your life. That's the advice I need to give myself for tonight, because I'm a hater on this drama that we're going to talk about tonight.
But I'm not going to be I'm not
either. I'm not either.
So I am just outing myself that part of this is my tiredness. I watched the show on the plane. And I'm just trying to say that like the karmic balance of me hating, because if anyone's feeling like, God, why is she such a bee? Like, why is she hating on this? Like, first of all, not yucking your yum. Second of all, you can go be on the 160,000 liked TikTok hating on me. Like, it's just a circle of hate today. Stop.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have a real discussion about this one. I think there's a lot of people that have differing opinions, and I'm excited to talk about it. But it's definitely not going to be like we're not all three just hating.
We're all in different places. Yeah,
we're all in different places. There are actually a lot of things I really liked.
Look, a lot too. But I'm just gonna say that like I'm feeling the hate today, and so I just want to set it up. And I'm not. And so if anyone's at home listening, this is not meant to be a bummer. It's not meant to bum you out.
I think we'll make you laugh.
No, I think this is going to be a very fun discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. So tonight we are talking about When the Phone Rings. And let me first say that we were originally supposed to watch this next week because I still needed to finish it. I basically binged it the last 2 days. Last night.
You were like, I'm on episode 9. I think I'm just going to stay up.
Yeah. I was like, I'm on episode 9. At this point, I'm just staying up because by the time episode 9 rolled around, I'm like, I need a conclusion. Like, I need something to be wrapped up in this story. I'm just going to stay up. So that is why we're recording it tonight. So When the Phone Rings is a Netflix drama starring Yoo Yeon-seok as Baek Seon and Chae Soo-bin as Hong Hee-ju. The drama just finished airing in the beginning of this year, 2025, and has been a hot topic of discussion through the end of 2024. I would say this is like, I saw 1 million edits on this drama. Our Patreon was talking about it nonstop. So the drama is based on the web novel The Number You Have Dialed by Gon Omyeol-neo. This is a brief tagline given to us by Netflix. A rising politician and his mute wife's tense marriage begins to unravel after a call from a kidnapper turns their lives upside down. So it's a great premise, right? Does the drama live up to it? Well, that's what we're discussing tonight, and we're all pretty pumped about it. So normally we have a brief non-spoiler discussion, but look, we're not doing that tonight. Okay, this drama is very popular. If you're listening, you've probably seen it. It's only 12 episodes. We're just not doing that tonight, okay? We're getting right into it. There are tons of twists, and we have a lot to talk about. So that's why we're just going to dive in. And I think that's what you all want, right? Because we really need to talk about episode 12. And don't worry, we will get there. But first, this drama was chock full of tropes, very tropey. So what was your favorite tropey storyline?
So I really thought this was a fun take on marriage of convenience. This is an advantageous marriage for both the Baek family and the Hong family. Like, that much we know from the get-go. What we don't understand at first is that Hong Hee-ju is not only a replacement bride, since her sister was supposed to be the one to marry Baek Seon, but no one outside of immediate family knows who Baek Seon's wife is, which is crazy because he's basically like the press secretary for the president. And nobody knows who he's actually married to. And it's just a wild, wild situation.
It is. That is one thing about K-dramas, and I also think Korean culture is they do a much better job like protecting people who aren't famous. Like, their public figures are very much separate, whereas we just like paparazzi or paparazzi. They're going to take a photo of you no matter what here. So we don't have that same anonymity. So I do think that that's kind of an interesting aspect of the culture that obviously bleeds into K-dramas.
Yes.
I agree. I really did like the marriage convenience. So I'm going to say this is a trope because I said so, but the childhood connection. So I really liked the childhood connection of these two characters. And I don't always. Sometimes it feels shoehorned in. But I think that their childhood connection was like absolutely vital to understanding why their marriage was so tense in the first place. Because you don't get it. Like, Baek Seon seems to like hate her, and we don't understand why. She seems like a perfectly nice individual, and she clearly resents him. So she's a sign language interpreter for a news channel. when the drama like opens and he's giving a speech and she gives him the middle finger. So she resents him, and it's like, why? Why has your marriage been so tense? And also, how are we going to turn this around? And then you see that they had a childhood connection in that I don't know if we want to get into like everything right away, but both of them were sort of living lives that they didn't want, that was being forced upon them. And I think neither of them felt like they had a voice, or they kind of really didn't. Neither of them really had a voice to like be who they were. And they kind of found like kindred spirits in each other. And I like that. I like that Baek Si-yeon was always kind of protective of her, even when they were young. I think he saw her as someone that he felt he could connect to when he really had no one. And so I really liked the childhood connection plot line in this drama.
I actually liked it too, and I don't always like childhood connection, but I liked it in this case. Look, as much as I said I'm going to be a hater, I'm not that big of a hater. I liked a lot of it. And so one thing I really liked about it is it starts off with kind of the enemies to lovers trope. It obviously works itself out relatively quickly, but I am obsessed when there's like that energy that's just kind of like, even though we know because of things that happen later, maybe everything wasn't as it seems, it gives the appearance of high mutual loathing at the beginning, but also like, I just loathe you to the point that I want to like rip your clothes off and like fuck you on this kitchen counter. Cause like a lot of that, like grabbing the waist and kind of like the grappling with the thighs and looking at the like, there was a lot of like,
it was very sexy in the beginning.
Yeah. And so like there's something where like, because the opposite to like love is never hate, it's indifference, right? So it's when you've got that hate there, you've still got that like passion. And you knew it wasn't hate, like you knew it wasn't like abusive hate or something. So it just felt like there was all this simmering like disgust and rage and sexy that was all kind of mixed up into this package. And I love that.
Yeah, I would say this drama was incredibly tropey in a way that was like crack, like drugs. Like it was the beginning of it. I was just like, oh my God, they are just giving us everything. And it like all at once, all the dramatic dialogue, like the amount of one-liners Yoo Yeon-seok had in this, like I want to know who wrote the dialogue. I mean, I want to know if that was like the web novel or if that was a lot of like the writer who wrote the actual drama. So I was really into it. I did feel like I was watching a sped up version of an American soap opera for sure. It was very soap opera-y, and it I don't think that let up at all. I think that continued. Right? Wouldn't you say? Did it give you soap opera vibes? I felt like I was watching Days of Our Lives.
I mean, that's why she had to keep getting kidnapped. You had to keep recycling like storylines to keep it going.
Oh God, I love it. Okay. So I think, we have a lot to say. So I'm going to throw out some topics that came to mind when I was thinking about this drama. Okay. And let's just it's just a starting off point. Shout out what you want to talk about, but let's go. So what did you think about like the couple chemistry and the romance?
In the beginning, I thought it was really hot.
Yeah.
It was the hottest when she was pretending to be 406. Like that was the best chemistry between them. And then once that all unraveled, I feel like it got very lukewarm. And at the end, I was like, I didn't even care that they were having sex because it was like it felt like it was not the same people at the end.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like it was like a totally different chemistry to me at the end.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, like the kissing was great. Great kissing scenes. I thought the tension when he wanted to see if she had this like mole on her thigh or like a birthmark.
Yeah, that was great.
That was
that's what I meant when he was like grappling like under her skirt. And I was like,
throwing her down on the bed. And
like when he had her skirt clenched in his fist, I was like, okay, this is what I want to see.
This is some Gudong Mei like level.
This is, and I really like that. And I'm not sure where the point was for me where it shifted. I mean, I still really did like their chemistry. I will say to the very end, I did. There were other reasons why the sex scene threw me off, and it wasn't them. We'll get to it. But I actually really like their chemistry. I know Chae Soo-bin can kiss well. Like I've seen her she's a great kisser, and Yoo Yeon-seok is a great kisser too. I will say I vastly prefer Yoo Yeon-seok in a role like this than in Hospital Playlist. And I'm sorry if that's controversial, but I love him in this like Gudong-nae. I don't want him as a golden retriever. This is what I want him as.
Look, I like him both. I do like both, but this this entrance into the Gudong, like really where we were at the beginning, I think I even talked about in the pod, like whenever we did something in December when I'd started it, because it started and then like it went on a hiatus with like the political upheavals and stuff. But like after the first couple of episodes, I was like, this might be the drama of the year for me. Like this is exactly what I want. In his like simmering contemptuousness and then like the hyperverbal like abilities of like being up behind the podium and then coming home and being all like tsundere and not talking. It's like such a good mix of like the two types of like, I like the contrast where he can like put you in your place and be like super like blah, 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 blah. Then he comes home and just like simmers and is like, doesn't talk. Yes. All to that.
Okay. So the serial killer plot. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about if we liked it, and also maybe comment on the amount of kind of characters we had to keep track of that were in the web of the serial killer plot. Cause it was a lot. And there were so many red herrings. And yes, I'm throwing out a fish reference too, but
that was where, so I was watching this on my own because Leah had started and then like you said, like it took a break and then you were traveling. And so you hadn't like caught back up yet. And so I was like caught up. Like I was like, I binged it. And then I was like, I binged it, I think until episode 8. And then I was like, oh shit, it's not done. So I was going to Patreon for all of my help. And I was joking with Megan that I needed a PowerPoint on who was related to whom and how and why. And one of our patrons, Paige, gave that to me. Not literally a PowerPoint. What?
They made one?
No, not literally a PowerPoint. But like literally, like we had a thread going where people were like, who is he? Like, who is he? How is he related? And like, you missed like one little thing being said. Like, just like you miss Argan in the beginning, and then it makes zero sense to you at the end, right? So I miss like the tiny, quiet little reference to who his father was like earlier in the drama. And a lot of people didn't know. And so to try to explain like who was related to whom and why he was living in the fishing hut and all of that stuff. So no, it wasn't a PowerPoint, but she laid it all out in this Patreon thread. And I'm very grateful for that. And
so his father was revealed early on in the drama, who his real father was?
It was mentioned. Yes. I didn't catch it. She explained where it was mentioned. That he was that he was an illegitimate son, and that's why he was living under the care of the fisherman.
But they didn't say who fathered him. He was just an illegitimate son, or did they say?
Well, no, that's why his father kept coming to that. Like that's where, because he was also like the fake Sa'an. So like Yoo Yeon-seok. Let's just call him Yoo Yeon-seok. Yoo Yeon-seok's fisherman caretaker, who he calls Abajay, was helping Yoo Yeon-seok's father bury the bodies.
Baek Se-on, his quote grandson killed. Yeah, yes. The bodies of people he killed and animals.
So somewhere earlier, it was figured out that that's how Yoo Yeon-seok fit into the family. I did not catch that like ever.
I feel like that was not revealed early.
Not clear. No, not clearly.
Okay,
not
thank
clearly.
you. Okay,
not
okay,
clearly.
I get maybe you could infer, although I didn't. I had no idea. I was like, the amount of times I thought maybe he was like, I
thought he was
from
the orphanage. Yes, I was hoping that he was one of the twins and that they would be brothers. Like that's what I was hoping.
What I still don't understand is the butler, Min, who worked with the professor, the woman, the mother of.
Yes.
He says to Hong Hee-ju at one point, Baek Se-on used to have 2 different colored eyes. He got them.
But he got surgery. Yeah.
But I don't know who's he talking about? Like, I didn't know which Baek Se-on he was talking about, because at that point.
Oh, no, that's where he's trying to, because they had psycho little boy 1 with 2 different colored eyes. And then when he comes back, they had to be like, okay, well, I mean, the thing is I was like, it's the eyes that throw you. It's not
who is he covering for? Because
I didn't understand what Min, the butler, was trying to do, and I didn't understand who he was talking about. Like, who had surgery? Whose eyes got fixed? Who is he talking about?
No one's, because
they were trying to explain how Yoo Yeon-seok showed up to be like the kid because they're like, oh, his eyes got fixed.
Oh,
In fact, it's a whole other fucking person.
okay. So Min was just lying.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was like, what is,
But I just don't understand that the big lie was like, he came back and they're like, okay, like everyone was going to be like, oh, it's a totally different person, but we're going to just say like, don't worry about the eyes. Don't mind the fact it's a whole different
that he looks nothing like the other kid.
Yeah.
But the eyes are different because of that surgery.
I love that. Like, they're like, he came back and he was a lot taller. It's like, yeah.
He came back as a whole new person and new eyes.
Okay. And the serial killer. Okay. So,
but yeah.
Look, I think Leah, what do you think about serial killer plots and the one in this drama?
I have decided I now hate serial killer plots in my rom-coms. I don't hate a serial killer. So like if you give me like a Strangers from Hell,
Yeah,
fine. I will watch that. You give me just like a psycho baby boy who wants to like be like, play with me with his mask and then like, you know, fuck him up and like live in his orphanage of hell and kill cats, I guess. Look, not my fave, but like, okay.
Yeah.
Unless it's Flower of Evil type stuff at this point where there's like a real plot reason why we're in a serial killer. I do not want any more romances with a serial killer subplot. If there is, I'm probably not going to like. I'm so over it. Like I was over it last year and then I hit 2025 and finished this and I was like, this is not what I'm bringing into 2025. I am done. It is. At this point, I am positive there's a way to make it work where it's interesting, but for the most part, it is just lazy writing.
It is overdone. It's overdone.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm done. And I am done. Like, I don't find it compelling. I find it boring. The minute there's a whiff of the serial killer and the fact that the serial killers are like, maybe if the serial killers were like interesting or different, they just always wear all black. They always have like a twitchy voice, like something's like a speech impediment. They have a twitchy face. I'm like,
scars.
Give me a serial killer that's like when we had the plot twist in this drama of like the friend who was the betrayer, like the coworker who was the betrayer. I was like, okay, like if you'd showed me like something like that where it's like take me by surprise, but they're always like, and then they've got like, remember, like go back to Suspicious Partner with like they were like the Whistler, right? Like they always have like some little like weird quirky, and but they're all the same. It's like the same. They go to like the school of serial killing in K-dramas, and they come out and they're all just like robots with the same thing. And I'm just done. I hate it. This is part of my hating, and I hated it more than anything else in this drama. Like I hate it more than the end. I hate like it really because I felt like the drama was like interesting and smart, and I was like, where is this going? And the kidnapping stuff was going to fit. Like, I felt like that was fun. But then we just turned it into the fact that he just was a fucking crazy kid serial killer. Like, okay, sure.
I almost rather it have just not have been anything about the kid serial killer. Like, they had to switch the kid for like another reason. And like his so it was more about vengeance and less about he was just this like sadistic child. Like, I feel like giving him he wanted his life back. Like, I just feel like that would have been cool. I don't know. I love a murder mystery. I'll always love a murder mystery. I talked about Blackout before, but I'm gonna mention it again because that was a excellent murder mystery because it was so the plot is that two high school girls are killed. A man goes to prison for 10 years for it. He was like 18 at the time. He gets out. And they'd never found these girls' bodies. And the crime happened when he was in a blackout. And he's convinced he didn't do it. And so the whole drama is then trying to find out what actually happened to these girls. And I'm not going to say any spoilers, but it's not a serial killer. So it's a really intricately plotted storyline on how these girls died, who's covering for who, different goals, motivations for every person in this town. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool. And so that's more of like the type of murder mystery I want, not just like a serial killer.
Yes.
Well, and what I think got like muddied here is we did have him as a child. He just seemed like, right, like he was probably like a psychopath and he had no empathy and he was experimenting, killing animals. And then it got to like kids and stuff like that. I mean, like, not that that's good, but that's more interesting, right? And like, how are you going to deal with that? But then it goes from that, like you said, to like this whole vengeance thing, which was not that was not his MO when he was younger. So how did that just stop? How is he all of a sudden like not just, randomly murdering all these people for shits and giggles, and he's just focused on the vengeance? Which
Also,
like,
where's he been?
Because
he's not good. He's not good at vengeance.
Remember, he had amnesia.
He did have amnesia. That's right.
Okay.
He did have
You're right.
amnesia.
Because
Whatever.
God, I forgot.
Because that's
'Cause he almost drowned.
From being full murder, play with me. I actually liked the murder kid the best, maybe in the whole thing, with like the creepy mask. Like that was just creepy.
I'm
It
saying
was-
like that was interesting.
Yeah.
But then he almost gets drowned.
I forgot about the
He
amnesia.
loses
God, there's too
All
much.
his memory until a year ago, and
Right.
then when it comes back, he's like, I know this is the go. Like this is the go.
But he's
No,
not. But he's not a really good serial killer.
No.
Like, how many times can you kidnap somebody and not kill them?
He was a very bad.
He's a
and
very
he-
bad kidnapper.
He wasn't serial killing anyone else. He was
Like,
just-
didn't he learn his lesson the
Serial.
first time he sat in the back seat?
Yeah. Terrible. Yeah, she
drive
did
the
the same
fucking
thing
car.
twice.
hit her on the head with a hammer and drive the car. What are we doing?
Why are you letting her drive? It's so
Every
stupid.
time I'm like, are you a passenger, a princess? Do you
Does he not have a license?
license?
Passenger princess. Yeah,
But
it's
like one time in the
weird.
back seat and she drives off the road, like should be your lesson. Don't do it
He's
that
not
way
learning.
again.
He's not learning from his. He's not learning. He
No.
also would not check his bags ahead of
No,
time.
he wouldn't check his bags.
Don't compare me to him. But like the fact that, because the thing is that like he also kind of like murdered without reason, right? He was just like, I like to murder, play with me, and then I break my toys.
Right.
And now I'm a disciplined.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. It
unsavvy-
doesn't track. Yeah.
No, it's so dumb. And then he just happens to cross paths with somebody else with a vengeance, and then they pair up as like the worst buddy team ever. Like,
Oh.
it seemed like that was smart too. And then I'm like, no, it's not
No.
smart. You're both bad. You're both bad.
Yeah, I mean, Doje, you are so good looking, but you are
Oh,
so dumb.
So good looking though.
So good looking.
Very. I would like him in more things, please.
Choi Woo Jin. Just that's who we're talking about here. And yeah,
But
let's see
I'm
him in
done
more
with
stuff,
serial
but not as a bad accomplice.
Don't wreck me anything with serial killers in my like. I remember like Amy, are you still, because I remember you used to be like, no, give me a serial.
No, because so here's the thing. So I first fell for it when we watched When the Camellia Blooms.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was a K-drama trope. I was just like, oh, this is original. I like this. You know,
I
give me
liked it in Camellia too.
give me rom-com with serial killer. But then I kept getting rom-com with serial killer. And I know, like I don't need a serial killer in my romances anymore. I really don't.
No, I mean, again, I would take I really did. I love Strangers from Hell. Everyone knows that. I like
Mhm.
even like, I mean, it's not serial killery, but when we're talking about like happiness or any like zombies, you know, like
Yes,
Sure.
that's different. Yeah.
give me all that. But just not this like lurking bad guy who especially is always just like fixated on the heroin. It's so boring.
Dressed in all black with a
Well,
black
there were
baseball
so
cap
many-
and a black mask.
Yeah, and there were so many times where he's like, Big Seon's like, I'm the one you want. Why are you after her? And it's like, yeah, anyway. And I realized that the guy kept saying, I want you to experience something precious being taken away. I'm like, why? Why? Like,
Then take her away already. Don't
Yeah,
you
but
know
kill her.
she's invincible? You push her off a cliff, she survives.
Okay, so what did we think about Yoo Yeon-seok slow motion walking while looking broody? Multiple in probably every episode at least 3 times.
Best part of the drama.
Super love it. The fog separating, backlit by headlights, him walking slowly to rescue her while looking really angry.
Yeah,
Like
it's
he's
like
mad at her.
Goblin. It's like Goblin and Reaper, you know, saving Untak. Like I will always be here for a slow-mo badass walk through the mist.
And he's always wearing perfect. Who dressed him? Because the suits he is wearing are perfectly tailored. Like I'm not even an expert, but like just goddamn, you can tell.
Costume design was great in this until we get to
Till we get to episode 12.
until we get to
but
Argon.
before that, correct. I loved, so Heeju's mom wore the craziest shit and I loved it. Heeju's mom was so extra and I really loved her clothing. Okay, so what did we think about the multiple kidnappings? I don't know how many there were. I didn't count, but it's a lot.
Like to even like say that is ridiculous. Like the first one served a purpose and the rest were ridiculous. And like, I shouldn't have to say the phrase, the rest of the kidnappings about any drama because they were so dumb. Like, they were so dumb. Like, he's the worst kidnapper in the world. The worst. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I already said it because we're talking about him. Like, he always has to be in the backseat with a knife at her throat, yet he's not going to kill her in enough time because she's always going to step on the gas and drive off the road.
Every time he's got the knife to her throat, I'm like, she's driving the car because you apparently don't have your license or our passenger princess. So
right.
like,
So if you kill her, you die too.
yeah, it was just not a very well conceived plot.
No.
And like, I love things like I'm on record, obviously, for saying that some things like I don't care about. And I would say, meaning I'll accept bonkers and I'll accept things that don't logically make sense if I'm entertained. And I was like that for the majority of this drama. But looking back, I started to, well, not looking back. There was a point around episode 9 where I started to feel frustrated. And once you're frustrating me, it's hard to come back because I will say I did feel, there were redundant plot lines. And honestly, I just watched this drama last night, right? Last night I finished it and I'm already like blending things together in my head because it felt like a lot of the same. And that's usually not like the best sign.
Yeah, I think like for me, it's like there was a bonkers element that I think could have been fine. But like you said, it then turned into just like the redundancy. So it wasn't to me that it went so off the rails. I was like, it just got boring and repetitive. And it felt like people were just stupid. And I was like, this doesn't feel clever. It just feels like dumb people making dumb executed plot points. Whereas it had felt really like clever and smart at the beginning. And I'm like, ooh, where's this going? I was like, she just drove with a knife to her throat to Dumbville and dumbed out.
And the amount of times that something crazy happened to her and Baekseon knew about it, but he still was like, we'll talk about it later. I'm like, I think you should talk about it right now. Like, I really think this is the time when her memory is fresh. You need to ask her questions right now. Like, why are we waiting?
I want to jump in because this one, I don't have the script in front of me, but I do. This is the question I do have because we were going through like, okay, so before we get to some of the other like,
go ahead.
Things. Her agency. Let's talk about what happens to her agency in this drama because
we're actually going to talk about heroine GMC next.
Okay. Yeah.
So wait,
go for it. Go for it.
I'm like, I don't even have I just want to talk about her agency.
Okay.
As a general plot point.
Amy, you say what her GMC is, and then let's move into her agency. How about that?
Okay. So her GMC in the beginning, right? Her initial goal was to get a divorce. That's what she wanted, to divorce him. Her motivation is that she's in a cold, loveless marriage. And the conflict is that after she starts talking to Saan as 406, the kidnapper, she falls for him. All right, Leah, take it away.
So we learned that like due to a bad mom and trauma, like, you know, she has been pretending to be like, because they've said it's like selective mutism, but I'm like, is it really? Because like, I don't think it's really a psychological, like selective mutism is like a psychological.
No, it's not. Her mom made her do it.
Yeah, she's just opting out of
speech
and pretending not to speak, but it's not, I'm like, selective mutism seems like a bridge too far. Like this isn't like you've got the ability to speak at any moment. And yeah. And so it's interesting to see like, here she is as somebody who is like, got very little power in many ways because she, you know, she's like the stand-in wife, definitely doesn't have like the economic powerhouse of the other family. She has to hide her speech. She can't give what she thinks. She doesn't think that like her husband loves her. So you see somebody who like looks like they should be kind of just like losing across the board. But her agency is very good because in some ways, like she's retained this like inner sense of self. She's like, I like when the universe is like, you know, shit's coming down, the universe rewards you and you're like, I got to find a way through this. Like, so she's not a poor me. Like, she's not sitting around like, woe is me. She's like made a spunky, hot friend. She has, there's like good female friendships in this. Like she has friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like into her. I was like, and now she gets the kidnapper's phone. And now she's like got this unique situation of being able to pretend to be the kidnapper, say all the shit that she's held inside to her bad husband, then start to hear him like breaking up. Like that became like a fascinating interplay, super fun and sexy by episode. I mean, for sure by episode 9, but somewhere between 7 and 9. Where did that person go for the rest of the time? I felt she was like, oh, I'm an ingenue. I'm being kidnapped. I'm like can't even fucking drive on. I can't even with a knife to my throat when I'm like, you know what? Even though I'm wimpy right now and I'm being boring, I'm going to do the most boring threat of like driving off, like, goodbye. I'm going to end my life and this murderer's life. Goodbye, everyone. Off I go off the cliff. That was even still boring. Like, she was still boring me at that point. I was like, I'm still not buying it. And then to find out that she did, like, she drove off, just flopped down.
She didn't even drive off. She just kind of dangled.
Just hit the
Flopped
guardrail
down onto the road below. And like,
That was a really good guardrail.
Mm-hmm. The guardrail stopped her. Yeah.
and got herself kidnapped again.
She got kidnapped from being kidnapped.
Yes. It was like, once we had the kidnapped from being kidnapped, I was out. I was just like, at that point, I was just laughing. The rest of the way, I was like, I don't care about this. I am so out. I am so like, this has been, because I felt like My Dearest was something where, like, we talked about this, Megan, like the first 10 like that first season of My Dearest, I was like, this is amazing. This is like one of the best dramas I've ever seen. I did not really like what happened in the back half, so it's not a top favorite for me. But I can't say I was ever just like, I mean, I didn't like, there were choices I didn't like, but I was never like, I'm done. I'm bored. Like, just drive off the cliff and die.
Right.
That's how I felt in this. I was just like, drive off the cliff. And I don't know if we can get to where the only thing that was going to salvage it to me to the end, which I knew I had like a 0.1% chance that I was going to get it by the end, was when we see when she gets rescued from her kidnapping, or she rescues herself, I guess, kind of like the butler rescues her. And so she's escaping. She gets picked up by her husband. Batty, stops them with the gun or whatever. He goes out, and then the serial killer whispers the secret. And that was the big thing. And so, I mean, we can save that for later. That can be a teaser. Do we get to this? Bring later.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. That was the only point. At that point, that whisper, I'm like, this is the deal breaker. Because I'm like, I hate it. I'm a 10 out of 10 hating it. If this whisper is good, it could all come back for me. I don't think it's going to be good. But I'm ready to wait. The whisper couldn't have been worse.
It was. Yeah. So, I also didn't necessarily love where they took her character. They weren't giving her a lot of choices. There weren't many things that she could do. And sometimes writers will be like, well, I mean, she was kidnapped. And it's like, look, you're the one who's writing this. You're the one who's setting her up to either have a choice or whatever. And then in episode 12, which we'll get to, you did give her a choice and it was fucking stupid. So for what she did. So now you just the Hee-ju that I knew I met in episode 1 would not have done that.
No. This is what I'm saying. Like, they were different people at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. The big Seon that I knew in episode 1, he wouldn't have done all that. Well, honestly, let's just get to episode 12. Let's talk about it. And we can talk about some other stuff too.
So here's something that I thought would be fun.
Okay.
For episode 12.
Well, let me read a little bit to set it up.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Set it up. And then I thought it'd be fun if we read through our text chain from last night.
Okay. As each other?
As ourselves. As ourselves.
Okay. So yes, let's discuss what happens at the end of episode 11 and what takes us into, we do need, I think, to set up episode 12 a little bit. But anyway, in episode 11, we think the storyline is wrapping up. At least I thought so. Hong Hee-ju has survived her latest kidnapping. That's when she was held among pottery by the professor in some underground dungeon where she has refused to eat in order to end her life, which I also think was a choice, because if I'm kidnapped, I'm eating every scrap of food they give me. I don't care if she's like, I need to die so that Seon won't suffer. No, you freaking eat so you have energy. Hello. Does no one watch true crime? Anyway, so she has survived her latest kidnapping. She's safely tucked into Seon's car on the way to the hospital. But oh no, the serial killer steps into the road, blocking their path. And instead of Seon flooring the SUV and running over the crazy-eyed, fishy real Seon, he gets out of the car to face the rifle-wielding madman, which again was a choice. He entertains the madman's ramblings, gets really upset and cries, and then we're in episode 12. Hee-ju is alone in her big house, her husband is gone, and the real Seon is dead. Do we know why either of those things happen? No, not yet. But it's only a matter of time when her husband will come back, right? Well, first we take a massive, massive detour. Hee-ju, desperate for her husband, decides to travel to a made-up, war-torn country named Argon that is only mentioned once briefly in episode 1, which I did remember it being mentioned.
Me too.
I did
But
not.
still, and then never again. Or if they do, they only mention it in passing. So don't come at me. It doesn't matter. They don't make it a big deal. Yeah, never mentioned again until episode 12. And what ensues is madness. So yeah, does anyone want to set it up a little bit better? Or was that okay?
No, I think that's perfect.
So I finished it last night.
Right. And then you texted us.
Okay. So I said, nothing could have prepared me for Heeju flying to a war zone in a designer scarf, get kidnapped, rescued, and then the scene cut to white sheet sex in a peaceful beach bungalow resort in said war-torn country.
I saw a comment saying with sheets whiter than Healer's lair. It might have even been Sarah. So I'm giving it's somebody from probably the Patreon.
Yeah, from Sarah from Afternoona asks. And I said that entire 30 minutes was absolute nonsense.
I was fast forwarding through it like, what the fuck?
None of that was needed. Like, who wrote that to fill time? Fire them. And I don't care. I don't care if it followed the webtoon. Do not tell me it followed the webtoon. I don't want to see it in the comments. I don't care. I don't care.
No. In my mind, he saved her from her final kidnapping by his mother. And then he runs over the real Saan. The end.
100%. The ending we deserved. And I'm going to add to that because I thought that's how it was going to end. I was like, here, he'll get like shot by police or I don't know. Something's going to like, this is the end. This is actually perfect. It's one final rescue.
Yep. And then here's what we could have done for episode 12. Like she imagines them getting to be a real couple so many times. Give us that in episode 12. Give us a whole episode of fun and games that they never got.
And the reason he ran, like the only good reason to run, Seon, the fake one, Yoo Yeon-seok, was if she turned out to be like his half sister. Like that would be a reveal.
Which is what Leah was hoping for. Yep, patrons were guessing that.
Quote, I'm punishing myself. Why, dude? Why?
But he is not responsible for his father's, machinations. Like,
yeah,
he had nothing to do with that.
And I will say, I do want to say, I understand that there are Confucian reasons. I do. It's still like no.
Argon is still ridiculous.
It's still, yeah. I mean, in all honesty, if he left, even if he like left, I would maybe have been okay with that, but I'm not okay with the war. The war-torn country has nothing to do with Confucianism. So
are you reading this anymore? Or are we off the script?
Well, I'm off it a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm in utter shock how that went off the rails.
Cuckoo banana pants.
I mean, they brought it back around, which makes it even more infuriating because it was not necessary. But I hate a virtuous business ending more.
And a random truck of hostages he just sets free in the jungle.
Like what? Where did they go? Did they have their own beach bungalows? And her asking where to watch the sunset took me out.
I'm so glad you mentioned the burial mound still looking fresh.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that too. So yeah, her asking where to watch sunset took me out because I was like, anywhere. It's the fucking sun.
Wherever you can see the sky.
Random white dude is like, oh, the most dangerous building in the country? Well, don't go there, but it is a good sunset spot. I said, oh man, what a trip. There now Leah's back.
Yeah.
So I
Leah.
just barge into the chat.
Yeah.
By the time she was kidnapped again, I was so done.
No one gets kidnapped that much in one drama.
I would have taken amnesia over a second kidnapping.
Same.
By the end, I was praying she was his sister and we could have an incest subplot.
Yep.
And then I was reading Instagram and I was reading at K-Drama This, which is Sarah. I was reading her post on Instagram about this drama. And I said, OMG, this comment on Sarah's post, quote, Heeju sneaking through the jungle looking like Diane Keaton. God, I will never. She did. She looked straight up like Diane Keaton with her scarf and her wide leg pants.
Anything other than what we got for the ending would have been acceptable.
Oh,
When the serial killer whispered, I was like, the only outcome I will be happy with is she is his secret sister. And I stand by that. I was like,
yeah.
oh, conflict. No.
Nope. No conflict.
He went to fight a war to watch a good sunset. Like, go to Hawaii, bro.
And I said, also, she could see through her blindfold. Like terrible, terrible kidnappers.
And she's just creeping through the jungle. Like no change of clothes or anything. She gets there. She's just by herself, like popping out from behind a tree.
I mean, this is not what but like, where's her luggage? Like, where are you, girl? Where's your stuff? And you don't even bring boots? You don't even bring boots.
You know what? I would have accepted this episode if we could have seen her pulling her roller bag through the jungle.
No, what if she was in full camo? What if, what if she packed her own camo and her own boots? Anyway, I said, like, anyone can just pop into war-torn countries and mosey around. Like, there was no way she'd ever get close to the jungle. There's just no way.
Then I said, I'm going to be controversial. I hated the show so much. By the time she went to Argon, I was so dead inside, I wasn't even surprised or outraged. I was just like, you've already skull-fucked me. Argon was just the depressing sperm dribbles.
I said I was actually kicking my feet when she was in the airport with her heels because I was like, I was like, oh goody, what fresh hell awaits me. And I was not disappointed because it was bonkers.
I honestly feel like all I say from this point onwards is just, I'm pissed. I'm still talking about getting skull fucked to my eye socket. That she's kidnapped again. I was in full hate. That it was multiple episodes on kidnapping. And then for the final kidnapping, when the mom was like, well, the only logical solution here is to go to the secret lair where she can live among pottery for 20 years while my son next door is wanting to murder anything with a pulse. And like those doors were extra. I give them credit. I mean, at least they looked visually good. Like those look like doors you're not going to come out of. And then they both just come out of them just fine. Like I was like, that's a door you get sealed into. You are entombed. No.
So I'm not looking at the text because then we kind of start like going. But I mean, the sunset thing is bonkers. And because I think I said like, oh, the sun only sets in Argon. Like that's what they could have named the drama. Because I don't get it. So as Leah says, we do not get sunset stuff in the drama. They tried to put in that one.
They shoehorned it in at the end.
Well, they were like, and they tried to be like, oh, the red sky looks like the cheek where your mom slapped you. Like, what are you talking about? How was that admiring a sunset? I don't, from when they were kids. Don't give me that. I don't buy it. So they tried to shoehorn it in at the end. And this is where it ties it. Her agent, this is so stupid because I understand earlier when she's like, it's my job to protect you. That's fine. Like, I think that they kind of actually did that okay towards the end of the drama where she was like, I don't want you to get hurt. But her saying, I want to protect you and then flying to war. How is that? What are you going to do, girl? What are you going to do there with your scarf?
She can help out at the school for the deaf right in the middle of Argon.
Right. Stay there. Stay there.
Again, so he's trying to make up for the sins of the father, right? So he builds a school for the deaf.
Great.
In the middle,
very nice.
In the middle of a war zone.
Well, I mean, the kid, everything about it. And then once they have a little moment where they reunite, flash to this bungalow. We got to talk about this beach bungalow. Where is it? There's clearly no war there. It's a peaceful beach with a beautiful sunset. And I said, why didn't the white dude tell her to go to that beach? Why is the white dude telling her to go to a Sistine Chapel like thing in the middle of war?
That's the most dangerous building to go to.
But most dangerous. Why didn't he tell her to go to the beach? Because apparently the sunsets are beautiful there. Because Yoo Yeon-seok took 1 million pictures of them. It makes no sense. He had
a great view from his bungalow.
Here's the other thing is if he loved the sunset so damn much, like the sunset is just his thing. Now, so the way we drop it is like at the end, after he tells us this, when you're like, give it, like, I haven't seen him this before, look at the sunset. Well, I've never seen him be like, one moment, please. It is sunset time.
I must watch the sunset.
Look at this cool picture I got of a sunset.
Later, she's like, oh my gosh, look, you've just had this on your phone the whole time. And I didn't know. I'm like, no, we're not going to info dump like that. No, you do not get to do that. I mean, if that was the only
show, don't tell.
The only sin, then I'd be like, sure, I don't care. Right. But like at that point, I was like, you've now skull fucked me. Now you're just like coming for the court. Like now you're just like coming for like just to hurt me. Like this is just like, I'm done.
Yeah, I couldn't take the drama. Like this felt like a soap opera. Like I felt like I felt like I was watching Days of Our Lives, where it's just like crazy. There's made up stuff, but this took the drama. At first, I was like giddy because I was like, yes, this is crazy, and I love crazy. But it ruined what I loved about the drama. It did ruin the characters for me. I didn't believe that either of those characters would do this. Did I believe that Yoo Yeon-seok's character would kind of punish himself? Yes. Do I think he would travel to like a war-torn country knowing Hee-ju was like that? No, I don't think he would have done. Like, that's the problem. So it took the drama and the characters that I liked and made them do things I didn't think they would. So then when they're finally back in Seoul, then I felt like it was unbelievable. So all that like lovey-dovey stuff that I was supposed to love and which I would have.
The payoff.
Yeah. So the payoff then didn't ring true to me.
I was so done. I could have cared by that.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was the most frustrating part. Because I was like, the build-up for this was so good. Like, to be honest, for me, if the drama would have ended at that car standoff, or when I say drama, I mean the conflict. If like the conflict would have ended there. So like the finale, because that like whispered thing wasn't needed. No one, Hee-ju didn't, like, none of that was needed. So if the conflict would have ended there, and then you just would have given me episode 12 of him torturing himself a little bit, like a little bit of a conflict, something like that, but like kept it in Seoul, I actually would have been, I think I would have absolutely rated this like 9 out of 10. I truly do. But when you take a drama, like same with A Virtuous Business, where the last episode basically erased everything that the drama had been trying to do. And at first I didn't think that this ending did this, but the more I think about it, the more it does. So then to try to sell me this like lovey-dovey thing when they're in the kitchen and then they're like talking on the phone, I was like, you were just in war. Like, what is happening? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
I think I am bitter about it because I liked it so much. And I was like really invested with like what everything was going to do. I don't mind his character. I feel like, except for like making a dumb choice, like, you know, at the end, like running away. I mean, I could live with it. But for the most part, I just was really, really liking it. And then just didn't. Like, it just fell apart for me in a way that felt. And I mean, I'm wondering if maybe did they like lose momentum because, but like, I don't even know if I feel like they lost momentum because I think this is how they, like, it's a webtoon. Like, this story was constructed already.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
I think
they were going to write this and like they got discombobulated with things. Like, this was kind of how I think it was always meant to go.
Yeah, I actually do too. I think maybe they thought it would ring differently on this, like in the drama. I really do. I don't know that they realized that adding the argan element at the end was so jarring for.
I still don't care about argan. I mean, I'm on the record. I mean, it's not good, but it wasn't like I was like, oh boy, now I'm done. I mean, I was just like I said, I was so done that by the time argan happened, I'm like, fuck. I mean, I'm already dead inside. So just like,
so I was still on board. So that did.
I was too. Like, I liked episode 11 enough that I was like, excited to see what happened in 12.
I didn't like it. I was actively hating it from episode 9 on. I'd say from 7, it was a decline.
I would say I wasn't as excited as I was at the beginning. I wasn't, but I was still fully on board. And actually, I was kind of excited for her to like be rescued from the dungeon. It just felt like we had all the characters together. This was a perfect time. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like a perfect time to kind of wrap up all these storylines. And then they just flubbed it so hard.
Yeah, they really did.
I watched them making out by the end and I was like, I don't care. I don't even think that they're kissing good. I don't even care that they're having sex. Like, I don't care. I don't care that she's in her tank top and his shirt's off. I was like, I just don't care. So I'm a baddie because by the end I was like, yeah, like they had their like hookup payoff and I was just like, meh. And I mean, this is Yoo Yeon-seok. He's my bae. Like, I still really like him. Like, I will fight for him. I like him. And I like her too. I like her, the actress. Here's the thing. Do you know what the best scene to me in the whole drama was? The scene that like I think about still, and I think I will always think about. And I just feel like this is like, these are why I'm frustrated because there's such good parts in it. The thing I really liked was when we see her in like full competence porn, when she's like auditioning essentially to be the interpreter for him.
Yes.
That, like, basically he comes in and is like, she shows her stuff. And what she shows is essentially as he's talking, she knows him so well that as the words are coming out of his mouth, she's already signing them. She already knows what he's going to do. And that was like really powerful. And it showed their chemistry. It showed their connection. It shows him as kind of like the hyperverbal daddy baddie. It shows her with a lot of agency and a lot of smarts and a lot of like intuition. So like you've got these people like so powerful and you're putting them together and you're like, oh my God, we have nowhere to go but up. No, we're just going to open up the trap door and fall through and be like flat.
Like, what if they would have put that into something? Like, what if he'd been kidnapped or something and she couldn't hear him, but maybe she could read his lips because she knew by his mouth shape, his lip movements, and his jaw, she knew the words that were going to come next. So somehow she can rescue him because she can read his lips. That would have been hot as hell. That would have been hot. It would have made her hot. She would have then saved him. That would have been such a cool ending.
Yeah, I could have gone with that. And then like at the very end, like the baddie mom, like her whole thing was like, I'm going to like make you suffer with this thing. And then like she goes to court and then she's like, and no, give me the death penalty. I was like, I don't care, lady. I don't care about you. And then like the fact that like she like gets tried and then she's like, no, redo it and give me the death penalty. I was like, are we serious? Like, give me a break. Give me a break. And then also I am a little bit like, as much as we love our hottie baddie number 2, whose name I'm blanking on because
Park Do-jae.
Yeah. Look, his twin had a rough time. He had a rough time. I get it. He also did throw his wife, his beloved wife.
He did push her off a cliff. Yeah.
And then he's like, by the end, he's like, meh, I've moved that. Like, come work with me, buddy. I mean,
I trust you?
Did I hate it? I didn't hate it. But I was also like, I don't feel like I really felt like this was an earned comeback.
6 months later, like he served 6 months in jail for pushing a woman off a cliff. Is that it?
And like, do we get to see her grapple with it? Because I'm like, why does the man's forgiveness matter? I'm like, how does
that's a good point.
Feel about getting thrown off the cliff by him? If she was like, look, it's fine. In my heart,
he thought you were someone else.
Yeah,
I get it. You tried to murder me. I bounced like rubber eraser. I'm good. I'm never gonna die. I need you. I live through everything. I fall off everything. Cliffs and cars, thrown off mountains. I'm always going to bounce another day. Sure, I could have lived with that.
So Yoo Yeon-seok running through the jungle, trying to find her was hot. I actually loved it. Sometimes when there's like searching scenes like that, I fast forward because like sometimes like the tension is exhausting.
Do you mean when he was going through the woods when she got pushed off?
Oh yeah, not the jungle. I'm sorry,
that was great.
The woods.
Yeah,
whatever.
Because in the jungle he looked dumb.
In the jungle he looked dumb. I am sorry. I meant if.
Yeah,
I just wanted an organ then.
I wanted to quick read just a quick thing from Patreon because we had a great thread going about episode 12 and it was Nicole on our Patreon who was like Park Do-jae being out of jail on account of I can only assume his good looks. However, is totally fine and no one can convince me otherwise.
He is so hot. He really is. They need to put him in more stuff. Yeah. I do have one question. So Yoo Yeon-seok's character, his like fake dad, was he a legitimate son of the grandfather with the dragon ring? Or was he like, was he his, because then that would have made him.
They would have been brothers.
That would have made them like half brothers, basically. Right? Someone said, oh, maybe that he was adopted too. And I was like, they never said that. Like, I'm assuming he's still like a son.
There was that weird like comment about him not looking like the father.
Yeah.
So I need
and how he didn't have any. Yeah. He didn't act like the grandfather. So I'm very confused by that.
Yeah, I don't know,
but I am going to say, and I don't mean this to be mean because it sounds mean. I don't care either. Like I
don't either. I just like I'm not doing a deep dive on it.
That's fair.
I'm not doing a deep dive on it. If someone listening wants to let us know, that's totally fine. I will accept your information.
It is a bummer.
Gratitude.
It is a bummer because I do think this drama had so much promise. It was straight crack cocaine at the beginning.
It was.
Like, truly, it was incredibly watchable. I think I said that to Amy. I was like, the first episode was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I thought the writing in the beginning was like crazy good.
So good. So good. And so, but this is the problem with endings is that's the impression you leave with people.
I know.
So when you mess up the ending, they don't remember. I've always been told that by editors, by my agent. they're usually not gonna remember how good the beginning is. They're just not if you mess up the end. That's just the way it is. And so that's why it's so difficult for me when you sour the ending so badly.
Yep.
For me to then like be excited about it. It's just so hard. So it's a bummer. And I don't know. I do want to bookend it with something I want to tell you guys.
Okay.
Because it relates to daughters being on TikTok. So my daughter, I was driving home today from my daughter's hockey practice, and she was like, I have like saved TikToks, like my favorites. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, I have them in collections. Like, I didn't know you could do this, but apparently you can like, Instagram does the same thing. You can like save things into collections. And I was like, oh, she's like, do you want to know my collections names? And I was like, sure. She's like, the first one is The Policeman. And I go, are you talking about the policeman from Squid Game? She's like, yes. I go,
is that We Ha Jun?
Yes. I go, Hazel, do you have them saved because you think he's cute? And she's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then she's like, my other collection is The Recruiter.
She's a Gong Yu baby too.
She is a massive Gong.
Wow.
I am shocked. Like
she doesn't watch K-dramas, but she
watches Squid Game. She watches.
Oh, she does.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
She watches she doesn't like.
Mine watched Squid Game too, which is funny.
I didn't know she was watching. Okay.
Yes. So she watched it on her own. She didn't.
Yeah,
watch
my son's
it with
watching Squid Game on his own.
Yeah. And she also, another collection is All of Us Are Dead. She loves All of Us Are Dead. And she asks me once a month when season 2 is coming out. She loves All of Us Are Dead.
I love it.
How funny. She is obsessed. She goes, I want to watch that midnight drama. That's what she said to me.
Midnight Romance in the
She wants to watch the Midnight Romance in Hogwarts.
I forgot about that one. I have to finish that.
I was like, first of all, Hazel, have you seen Train to Busan? And she's like, no, but I've been seeing a lot about it. I go, Hazel, we're watching that like ASAP, like as soon as possible.
Good.
Watching Train to Busan. And I really think maybe she would like Goblin.
I think she would.
I just wonder if no, she could follow it. And then I was like, you have to watch Bad and Crazy, Hazel. I got to find a way. I got to download iQIYI. I think it's still only on iQIYI. Or is it on Netflix now? Did they move it?
We didn't watch it I didn't watch it on iQIYI.
Oh, I did. I watched it when it first came out and it was only on iQIYI.
No, I think it's on Netflix.
Okay. I was like, you have to watch Bad. I think she would love Bad and Crazy because Wee Ha Jun is just, I think she would love him in it.
I love him. I love him in that.
That hysterical. Of all things. And then she's like, I also have a collection called Billie Eilish. Like, I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just
fair.
When she said The Policeman and The Recruiter, I laughed. I laughed so hard. I had no idea. She's like obsessed with them. She loves them so much.
It's on Netflix and it's on Prime.
Okay, cool. Then I will tell her to watch it on Netflix. I think she'll love it. So, and maybe I can. Well, I need to get her to be an Lee-dong-wook fan. Maybe I could get her to watch Strangers from Hell. She already has some dental trauma. Might be a bad choice, but
how about Shop for Killers?
She would like that, I think. Yeah. She likes like horror and
action.
Like action stuff. She likes, I mean, fast-paced stuff, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son was like, well, we'll talk about this when we cover Squid Game, but he was like, I just want to see the games. I was like, you're missing the point. I like unleashed on him.
So yeah, I think I put on Instagram like a teaser. Not that anyone like super is pressed by like what I think about things, but I was like, I watched on the flight home When the Phone Rings and then Squid Game 2. And I was like, I ended up disliking one and very much liking one. And honestly, if you had told me like a week ago, I would have been like, oh, I'm pretty sure Squid Game's gonna be a miss for me. Apparently I was being too cool for school. And then I thought I will love When the Phone Rings. Yeah. Hard switch. In fact, I'm going to just like, I don't care if it's unpopular or popular at this point. I like Squid Game. I'm in.
Yeah, I did too. And we will talk about it, but I was very surprised because you said that in Slack and I was like, I'm assuming you didn't like Squid Game. And you're like, nope, you really surprised me.
I tricked you.
You did trick me. So Leah and I will be talking about Squid Game 2 probably this month. So
definitely this month.
Yeah,
definitely this month. You're gonna do it when I'm out getting new gums for the last time.
Ooh, yes, sexy new gums. I can't wait to lick your gums and But the 2025 energy I have right now with Lust in My Heart, because I also talk about how I'm a fickle K-drama, like obviously Suga's my one true love bias of all time. But for K-drama, I'm very fickle. My heart has been, it's just like what goes around comes around again. So Yoo Yeon-seok, we're back in. Like, I don't care. I thought this drama sucked. He didn't. He
Yeah,
didn't
no.
suck at all. Great.
No.
10 out of 10 for him.
Yes.
So he is back in like my inner circle. I know he's very happy to be there. He's told me.
Yes, he told me.
And then the other surprise, and this is the teaser for what we talk about Squid Game, because I will not shut up about it. Kang Ha-neul is back, baby. Like
He's
is
back.
and he is back thicker, which shook me. Like, what? Like, he has not said no to carbs, and that is a good thing.
Yeah, he looks great.
I was just like, wait, are we fucking kidding? Like,
Yeah.
He had his porridge, and yes, porridge, and he has a half pony / man bun,
The half pony is great.
and he's a goober again. And I was just like, oh, 2025, we are back. Pirates, we don't know her. Curtain call, I forget. Kang Ha-neul is back.
The vulnerability, the goober with a heart of gold and vulnerability is his wheelhouse. Like it is his wheelhouse. Like I'm
And
sorry.
his giant mouth.
Yeah,
It is giant.
It gets bigger.
It's like, just put me inside. I want to curl up inside like a kitty cat. Just put me in.
Me and Coach.
Put me in, coach.
I just want to he can pack me like a chew
Yeah,
in the corner of his cheek.
He's got room.
it's so big. It's
so big.
I love it.
He's so big right now too. So he's so big and his mouth's so big. And I'm not like somebody who just needs big guys. Like, I like a short king. I like a little guy. I don't care. I am very the menu. I will eat off the menu. I will eat off the entire menu. But I did not realize this is his best self.
It is. I mean, this is his wheelhouse, and
This is the hottest I've seen him though.
Yeah.
This, physically the hottest. I'm sorry to take up this time, but I'm not sorry.
It's okay.
Because I've worked 4 years on a podcast now, so I can just sit and yell in the internet.
Yeah,
how hot Kang Ha-neul is.
He is. I can't wait to talk about it. So we'll do that. We will do that soon. And again, I'm sorry if When the Phone Rings was your favorite drama. I'm good. I don't.
There's a lot to love.
You're probably not listening anymore. If it was your favorite drama.
We had that. We had a listener who had to stop listening to our trunk episode.
Yeah,
And
she was like, I didn't keep going. And
I assured her in the comments on Instagram, I'm like, no, we ended up liking it more as we talked about it.
So
this one, not so much.
Weird when that happens, because
Yes.
the more we talked about the trunk, the more I realized I liked it. The more we talked about When the Phone Rings, the more I realized I was mostly frustrated.
Yes.
So that's not a good thing. But it is interesting because I do think we're our opinions go on the fly and they can change. And sometimes that happens mid podcast, I swear. Because then we were finished the trunk, I was like, okay. And now so if you're still listening, listener,
we came to
keep listening.
We did. We came to some good realizations. And by the end of that episode, we were like, you know what? This drama is better than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought the trunk podcast was going to be like this. And I thought we were going to be nicer in this. But then I just found I didn't have a whole lot to say.
I know.
I'm sorry,
And it really,
guys.
it started off with such a bang. It really did. And I had such high hopes for this drama.
Yeah.
And the writing was stellar in the beginning. And then it just kind of deteriorated.
So I'm sorry. We're sad too, because we...
Devastated, truly.
Because, but hey, you know what's coming up? Singles Inferno 4.
Oh, when?
Oh, the 14th.
Oh my God. Okay.
The way... So apparently there are a bunch of new twists in the season. I am so down. I cannot
You know
wait.
what? They did a great job with the twist last season of switching people around and having two islands going. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
I am so excited. Truly, Singles Inferno is my Christmas. So
I'm super excited.
I know.
Super excited.
It starts on the 14th. I will be watching it in real time because I refuse to be spoiled.
Oh,
So,
yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I will too.
All right.
Well, I mean,
that was a long
thanks
one.
for listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, and the other thing is, I don't feel I don't feel like, oh, now, like, if my first drama of the year, well, I really like Squid Game, but if my first drama of the year finished, which was When the Phone Rings, wasn't my favorite, I don't actually feel like that is like it doesn't feel like like a harbinger of what's to come.
No.
It can only go up from here.
Right?
Yeah, and look, Yoo Yeon-seok still 10 out of 10, and I'm excited for what the year. I feel like I'm back in like the watching groove, and that feels good. But I do think that like what I'm going to do until because Singles Inferno is coming out in like 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm probably going to do I think I'm going to just squeeze in, like, I might go on a BL bender. And
Yes.
pack a few in, get to Singles Inferno, and then I do want to see what's happening with When the Stars Gossip. I'm so far not called to watch it.
That's what I'm going to next.
Everyone's talking about Love Scout. I will tell you that.
Oh, yeah, I think that was the other thing, because Love Scout only has 2 episodes out right now. I might check that out just to, like,
me
catch
too.
that.
So I posted on Instagram asking people, like, what are you watching? What's currently airing that I should be watching? That's what I asked on Instagram because I was just curious. And the majority of the people said Love Scout. Like,
Okay.
a huge, like, vast majority were really liking it.
Because there's only 2 episodes out, so I can catch up and then jump over to Singles Inferno. But.
Yeah, and I'm still on, like, I am still on Misang, just so you know, like, it's still
okay.
there.
Where are you at?
I'm still on I've been on episode 11 for a long time because I had to stop it to watch, like, Squid Game and all this stuff.
Okay, it's time to keep going.
I know, because I really enjoy it. I truly, truly enjoy it. I just had to stop for currently airing stuff, so I'm going to get back to that as well. So, yeah, good stuff on the horizon.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Happy New Year to all. And we look forward to much more fun in K-Drama Land in 2025.
Yay.
Annyeong.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!